more dead Americans? Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
And I look forward to continuing this dialogue in the months ahead. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wally.
Wake Up America.
Tonight we got a full house. Look, we got the widescreen going. This is working out good.
We need a widescreen with us guys.
That's it. I'm surprised the room isn't tilting here. Yeah. So tonight, everyone, we got Mr. Ron Rando from Ron's Guns and Scott Wilson from CCDL as a special guest. You're a special person.
Well, once in a while.
Yeah, special guest, and tonight we have a lot of topics we want to cover. We got the right guys sitting here on the right, and we're going to talk about the VA. We're going to talk about the terrorist swap, Operation Checkpoint, which puts a chokehold on businesses. Chokehold, Operation Chokepoint, and whatever else. In the CCDL litigation, which Scott can fill in everyone with. So I think
let him start.
Yeah, actually, if you want to start, Scott, and introduce yourself, and which I just did. But if you want to explain to the viewers, meanwhile, I'll poke through some pictures, and then I'll call for camera 3 when we get the pictures up. So.
Sure. My name is Scott Wilson. I am the president of the Connecticut Citizens Defense League, and I've had the privilege of being in the studio here several times on some of the other shows that are aired through this through Metrocast here. Essentially, we are a Second Amendment rights organization that formed in February of 2009. We started with 10 original founding members, and today the organization has over 14,000 members throughout the state of Connecticut, and we have some members across the country as well that have joined in support of what we're doing here in Connecticut. Want to go on?
You know what? Reg, camera 3. Ooh, I don't like that, but we'll jump off of that. What we got here, guys. Reg, back to camera 3.
Yeah, that's typical when you take a picture a lot of times of a movie.
Anyways, what you see here, this is the actual gun rally up in Hartford, CCDL. You can see a lot of people. What was it, like 3,500 to 5,000 people?
Yeah, there was probably 4,000, 5,000 people there.
Yeah, and that here's Scott, the back of Scott, talking to everyone. Here's Lori, Hopkins-Cavanagh. There I am in the huge crowd. But all right, thanks, Reg.
Now you showed that before and it came out clear.
I don't know. That's whatever.
How come you didn't have Blumenthal in front of that camera?
You're right.
He was over Vietnam.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was?
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame over here in North Vietnam, along with John Kerry.
Yeah.
And
So-
John Kerry was.
So anyways, Scott does a lot of huge events, like the gun rally up in Hartford, and all kinds of different events. So you can continue.
Sure, right. Essentially, when we started, we as an organization, the founders, one of which I am, had come to the conclusion that there was not enough being done for Second Amendment rights in the state of Connecticut. And what we tried to do is, there was Bob Crook from the Coalition of Connecticut Sportsmen, who does some gun rights related things, a lot actually, but he also splits up his focus, with the hunting and environmental issues, everything from all-terrain vehicles to anything that's related to outdoors and sportsmanship, fishing and things of that nature. But as far as being there for people who had issues with pistol permits, where they were either denied or revoked for ridiculous reasons, there wasn't a lot of people out there helping anybody. So that's why we started as an organization. And we of course branched off into different things as time went on. We started testifying on gun bills up at the Capitol. things that would have adversely affected our rights, and we've testified on some of the bills that were actually favorable towards gun owners. So we wanted to make sure that we showed up for those hearings as well, because you can't just show up for the bad hearings. You have to show up and support the good bills as well. So we made an effort to do that on a regular basis, and as we went along, our membership started growing, and it became apparent to a lot of our legislators up in Hartford and some of the gun clubs around Connecticut, and Bob Crook even himself, that the organization, a volunteer grassroots organization, that we were here to stay and that we weren't going to go anywhere, and that we had committed individuals, which leads us up to the tragic events that happened with Sandy Hook. Now, once that happened, I knew, and anybody with any sense in their brains knew that this was going to be a great opportunity for the legislators in Hartford, and even at the federal level as well, or with our president that we have, that they were going to try to implement more gun control. And so we did everything we could with the state legislature to try to reason with those legislators and try to mitigate some of the damage that was going to be created as a backlash from what happened in Sandy Hook. And we weren't able to stop, the law that they passed through emergency certification, which literally was passed 4 months after what happened in Sandy Hook. So they used emergency certification, and they justified passing the law based on that e-cert, they call it. And this was 4 months after the fact. So we couldn't stop that, but what we did do as an organization was we saw the writing on the wall, and we started, we took some of our operational funds and earmarked them exclusively for litigation, because we knew that we were going to be in for one long, protracted fight through the court system, because there was just no doubt in our minds that we were going to sue the state of Connecticut. We didn't know if we were going to go through the state courts or if we were going to go through the federal courts. So we started earmarking those funds, and then people started contributing. Guys like Ron over here. I remember, I don't think I forgot Ron. Ron wrote us can I say how much? $500. I know how much.
Wow.
$500 check, and he was one of the first ones to contribute to the fund once we went live with it. So he sent us.
How many states are involved in this?
How many states?
Yeah.
This is Connecticut.
Just Connecticut.
This is Connecticut.
Let me just ask Scott one thing.
Sure.
They passed this gun bill at night. It was never given a public hearing.
Correct.
That's not legal, is it?
Well, unless you have a judge say that something's not legal, you have to assume under the premise of the fact that they're elected officials up in the state of Connecticut that what they did was legal. And to determine whether or not it was illegal means you have to sue on that basis. Now, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, they challenged that aspect of the law, as what they did was legal or not. And what happened, they were their case was thrown out based on the fact that they claimed that the NSSF did not have legal standing. So essentially what that did was that opened up a door for somebody else who fits whatever the courts determined what standing was. Somebody else could have essentially, or could still, take that exact same language pretty much and put their name on there as a litigant or a plaintiff instead and try to sue the state of Connecticut on that basis. We went through a different route. We went with constitutional challenge towards the Second Amendment. We didn't sue them on how they passed the act. We went after purely on the Second Amendment, and also...
Yeah, but our state constitution, our amendment is stronger than the federal one, really.
Sure, right. With the think tank of lawyers that we have, Stephen Halbrook is one of them, and we have Brian Stapleton, who's with the Goldberg and Segal out of New York. The train of thinking that they came up with was that we had a better chance of winning long-term going through the process to try to go to the Supreme Court if need be, based on a constitutional challenge of the Second Amendment, that our Second Amendment rights were essentially denied by the state of Connecticut now. Now, we can still own these guns. If you've owned those guns prior to the law's passage, they say you can own this gun still as long as you register it, and as you can keep your magazines that are over 10 rounds as long as they're registered. But what it does do is it denies that right to future generations of gun owners.
And and this is my opinion about this whole thing. This gun registration, magazine registration, You know what this is gonna add to? Taxation without representation, my friend. That's what's coming down the road. You wait and see what I tell you.
I don't doubt it for a minute, but for right now, we're only dealing with what we have
understand
right
that.
now. Now, there's been some good news. Though we lost at the initial state federal district level with the ruling that came out, the decision that came out from the judge there, we filed for a notice to appeal the very next day, and about a little less than 1 month ago, we filed the actual appeal with the language with the body of the language down with the Second Circuit Court in Manhattan. So we're moving forward. We've got amicus briefs filed from 23 states' attorneys general from across the country. They bonded together, and the attorney general from the state of Alabama actually filed the appeal on behalf of Alabama and all these other states. And it's pretty interesting because they realize, these other states realize that this is a federal action, and that even though our rights are affected here in Connecticut, these rulings and the rulings that come out of the courts could ultimately affect everybody in any other state. So that's why everybody around the country is paying attention to this action. The other piece of good news is that as of last month, we, as an organization with help from guys like Ron and some of the gun clubs around the country and around state rather, we've through our fundraising efforts have raised right now a threshold of $500,000 towards this litigation effort.
Wow.
So and we're appreciative of all the gun clubs around the state that have contributed, that have hosted fundraisers or just reached into their reserves and contributed. And we're also very appreciative of we have the National Rifle Association behind this lawsuit, also behind the scenes, helping. We're plaintiffs along with Coalition of Connecticut Sportsmen and individual plaintiffs throughout Connecticut, a number of individual plaintiffs. But this is a very serious action, and this is something that we know ultimately, if we can make it all the way to the Supreme Court, if we lose at the Second Circuit level, or even if we win and the state challenges that, we know we're going to end up on the side of right. We have to. There's no other way around it.
Well, looks like we have a call, and it might be that woman that was in this picture right here, Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh.